Hi, and welcome to the fifth and last video in the Conveyor Quick Tool series. By this point, you should be familiar with navigating Conveyor, account setup and administration, creating a connection with a basic mapping, and activating and running your connections. In this video, we'll take a look at how you can view and manage the successes, failures, and errors for your connections, along with sending out notifications and logs after each run. So let's go to our main screen where we find all of our connections organized as tiles in our folders. On each tile, we can see this icon. If there are runs with errors, the icon will show red with a count of the number of runs and failures. When there are no runs with failures that need attention, you will see a tick and just the count of runs. To see the detail, click the icon to bring you into the connection logs. Here we can filter what we're looking at, and I'm going to select to see all of my runs and the different statuses of what happened with them. In this particular connection, we can see there are two runs with errors. We can click the run to take us to the detail and see when it happened, the run type, how many records were processed, and the error itself. In this case, it actually failed to get the data from the target system, from the source system. If needs be, we can download the data into a CSV file. Now, for this example, this actually happened when I was testing my connection and building my mapping, and I fixed the errors in my mapping. So for this, I just want to clear the error status to tell Conveyor I've dealt with this issue. So I'm going to click Remove Error Status and go back to the connection log. I also need to do this for my next run with an error, as this also happened when I was building and testing. So we click Remove Error Status and go back to our connection logs. If I just come back out here to our main screen for a moment, you can see now I've cleared the errors, the tile icon changes back to a non-error status. Now let's look at the logs for subsequent runs. These ones are manual runs here, and we can see here the number of records processed. And that number relates to the number of rows in the data file. And I can click on any one of these runs, and it will allow us to see the detailed log of each record. And I can click on View Detailed Log here, and that will take us down to the individual processing of each of the records in the file. We're showing 50 entries here. We can choose how many we show on a page up here on the left-hand side. And this is telling us what's happened as it's going through and processing each of the individual records. So here we're actually updating a contact, and it tells us that here, and it also tells us the target ID. So in our mapping, we actually had a contact section that was set with an action to either create a contact record or update an existing contact record if it found one based on the email address. We can also use this target ID here in Track and Trace, which is available from the admin menu. Now, in this particular example, we can see here we were trying to match our contacts to accounts, and we were using a find section to find those accounts and then link the contact to those accounts that we found. In this particular example, our target returned no data for these particular account names. Now, while this in of itself is not an error, so it doesn't show up as an error for the run, looking at the logs can be a great way to spot things like this and then prompt you to refine your mapping and add additional logic like conditions, transformations, variables, and dependencies to ensure you capture all of the data you want in the way that you want it as you're moving that data from the source to the target. For scheduled runs, and in fact all the different types, all the different ways that we can run a connection, Conveyor will simply add an entry into the connection log here so that you can go in and see what happened. Now let's look at our notifications. So from the three dots menu on our tile for a connection, we select notifications. And we've got two different types in here. We can send an email notification to a user email address when the connection fails or has errors, and also for successful runs as well. And we do that simply by moving the user from the left-hand box to the right-hand box to receive the notifications. Note that if you want a user to receive both notifications, they will need to be moved into both of the boxes here for the fail and error notification and the successful notification. For each type of notification, you can toggle here whether you actually want to include a file of the detailed logs as an attachment on the email notification. Now, one last thing to remember, within each connection, you can specify for how long you want to keep the logs in Conveyor. And you do that by going to Settings and just setting the log retention here up to 90 days. Now, if you want to keep logs beyond this, you can use the notifications feature and include the log files on those notifications, or use the log download feature. Remember to click apply once you change these settings. And that's it for notifications and the last of our quick tool videos. Look out for more videos on transformations, variables, conditions, and more complex use cases. And feel free to contact support for further help. Thank you.